What is this? Episode 22, I believe. Pretty fun. We got a lot of people here on the show. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests. We got Super Metal Dave 64 in the house. How's it going, man?
Going good, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about Switch 2.
Yeah, got lots of Switch 2. Again, what a shocker, everyone. It's like all my channel talks about these days. Nope. We talked about something else today, but it's also on the podcast. We have Mike Odyssey on the show.
That
also known as the host of Indie Mania. You're an IGN famous now, man. Game Junction.
What's up? How's it going?
There we go. We got hey, you're not the one with the tech issues this week, so that was good.
That's good. Yeah.
We're just passing it around.
Yeah, right.
Eric Moore on a brand new camera.
Yeah, right.
Dedicated camera. How you doing?
looks good.
Gosh. We got Thunderstash Gaming.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Excited for Zelda tomorrow, as I'm sure everybody else is.
And I'm the host with the most, I don't know, the most flair. Definitely probably the most shots in YouTube history. That's for sure among this group. Let's go ahead and get to our topic roulette here. We got, 4 topics. So let's, who's going to go first? Let's have, any volunteers to go first?
I'll go first.
All right,
I'll pick a topic first.
I
will pick the topic of what is gaming pricing going to be like on the Switch 2?
This
is going to be interesting. Yeah.
It's a good topic. Let's see what happens. Especially with the third parties, man. They're going to be all over the place.
Yep.
All right. Eric, why don't you pick a topic, man? Before they're all gone.
Yeah, I know, right? Help if I would have read this beforehand. Let's do, I guess, the Switch 2 madness continues.
Oh, sure. Going to take the big topic. All right.
Why not?
I love it. Eric's taking the big topic because he knows I'll probably have to take over for it. Game Junction.
Yeah, we'll go with Nintendo makes a stand against AI.
Oh, boy. That leaves me with the dealer's choice. It's going to be a tough one since I had struggling to come up with topics today. That's all right, though. You know what? I'm going to throw it to the chat. Someone from the chat's going to help me out with a topic. Someone's going to super chat in a topic tonight.
There we go.
Just know it. That's what's going to happen.
There we go.
So just you guys super chat in topic ideas. One of them might make it in for the end of the show. We'll see. You guys could also super chat in if you want to get featured in our Q&A section as well, and we'll feature your comments if it's happening during a relevant conversation that we're having in the moment. That being said, let's go ahead and get into this show. And Thunderstash, what are we talking about for topic number 1?
Okay, so this should be interesting, guys. Now, obviously, there's a lot to be said about video game pricing and the direction that it's going in. And then the future direction, right? Like there's always that conversation about the new GTA and how much that's going to cost. We're not going to so much get into that. But of course, we all know that Nintendo felt it was appropriate to release Tears of the Kingdom as a $70 game, right? And they did note that each game would be priced individually. And then if you look at kind of like the industry standards for AAA games on other consoles, it's typically $70 for a standard edition of the game. And even yesterday, I was watching the State of Play, and then shortly after that, the pricing came out for Monster Hunter Wilds, and it was $69.99, or if you buy the Steelbook edition. Which I don't know about you guys, but anytime I've got a Steelbook edition of something, it's a pre-order bonus. But in this scenario, the only one who put up the pre-order so far was GameStop, but it's $70 for the base game, and then if you want the Steelbook version, it's $74.99. Okay, so they've never passed that on to the consumer as far as a pre-order, to my knowledge. If they have, maybe it's been once or twice, but 9 times out of 10, the pre-order bonus is going to be the Steelbook, right? So that was interesting, and that definitely caught my eye. I'm like, okay, we're slipping in a little bit of extra money there, passing that on to the consumer. Good that we're still getting a steelbook, but $75 now. Okay, your choice, of course, if you want to do that. And then, of course, there's other scenarios, right? Like when a game comes out on Switch at a later date, sometimes you can pick up the game on PlayStation or Xbox for like $20 at retail. But then it's released on Switch for the first time and it's full price. And then there's also the term that's been coined, and I think we've all experienced it, the Switch tax, where a game is more expensive just because it's on Switch. Now, of course, there's reasons behind that, and one of the reasons could be the cartridge. Uh, I don't know the exact breakdown of the cost of the cartridge and all that, but you know, many times a game has been more expensive on Switch than it is on other consoles, even if they come out the same day. So if it's a multi-platform release, the Switch version is more expensive. So it's going to be interesting because my thought was, and another part of this was seeing that release date for Monster Hunter Wilds, February 28th, because I know to my knowledge, that's a game that we're all kind of banking on coming to Switch 2, right? And we finally got the release date yesterday. And so I saw February 28th, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be anywhere around when Switch 2 comes out. Obviously, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But that game's $70, right? And so if we expect to get that on Switch 2, which again, it sounds like that's our expectation,
Mhm.
the first question would be, before we get into some of the other kind of bullet points here, is are you guys prepared to spend $70 on a Switch 2 game? Possibly more. Possibly more. That's the thing, is like, okay, wait. So for right now, today, games come out multi-platform and they're more expensive right now on Switch 1. What happens if we get multi-platform games that come out day one that are $70, but they're more on Switch, like 75 or $80?
Well, that's interesting. I'm personally ready because I think Nintendo's been laying the ground already. We're giving us Luigi's Mansion a remake at $59, right? So they're setting the new standard for these, I would say, lower tier games. Aside from Tears of the Kingdom, which is I would say Nintendo AAA, game, like massive game, a lot of gameplay. So Nintendo's already been kind of pushing the prices up. That's why whenever Princess Peach was also $59, right?
Yeah.
Princess
Yeah.
Peach all the time, So and that's not a major Nintendo game. It's not a major Mario game. It's a little sidekick there, and so I think that's Nintendo's baseline for their lower tier, right? And I think every single multiplayer kind of falls into that as well, like Mario Kart and all that stuff, into that tier, and then the bigger games, the open Mario games, the Legend of Zelda big games, not the 2D, top down 2D, and then open world. I think there's two worlds in Zelda. And when it comes to Zelda, the next big giant open world game then might be $70 to $75. Who knows? But the top down will be $59. And so, yeah, I think Nintendo has already been laying the ground. Now, when it comes to third party games, they are already there. So just bringing it to Switch, I think it's because Nintendo Switch, maybe the development or the porting of the game is a little bit more trickier to make it work on the system. A lot of developers from third party games have said it's been challenging, and I think it's been challenging just because they've been building from the ground up for that console instead of building from the ground up for Switch, or maybe building on the ground up and on the way up. Okay, this is the port. This is the Switch. This is the port for Switch, and then take that port out instead of just kind of bringing that one down to the Switch. I guess it has to do with that. They might think they can charge a little extra, but have a solution. Go indie. Indie, you'll never find a game for 70 or 80 or $90, maybe a rare one in the indie world. I got games
That's
like
true.
$1, $2, $3. There's crazy open world action adventure games, and you'll find it like $19, right? Zelda caliber game for 20 bucks. So it's a good way to build your library when it comes to saving money.
Absolutely. Okay. Uh, Super Metal Dave, what do you think, man?
I think it depends on the game, on the profile of the game, and plus if it's a remaster or if it's an older port.
Mhm.
A lot of times these companies have gotten away with charging $60 for older ports on Switch just because no one's ever played it on the go before. So it depends on the type of port it is that they're doing, and if it's day and date, I can't see a AAA third party charging more for their version on Switch 2. I think they'll have an across the board pricing, but I do think they'll be charging $70 just like everyone else. And depends on the Nintendo first party game too. I think they would also charge $70 for a brand new next generation mainline Mario and the next Zelda. I think they will charge $70 for those. But yeah, like the quote unquote lesser games, like Kirby, Yoshi, they'll probably charge $60 for those. But AAA third party ports, I can't see them charging $80 for a Switch 2 port because technically it'll still be inferior graphically, yes, it's the portable aspect that's great, but people have already been experiencing that for it's going to be nearly 10 years by the time Switch 2 comes out. So that is great, but I think just the aspect of them having the games on the system, they want to get all that money up front. I don't see why they would overcharge and just have it, kind of segregated their own pricing, and then people just gravitate to buy maybe the PlayStation version since it costs too much on the Switch 2. I see a blanket cost more so for everybody.
I can see that. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they're not going to pull out the Switch tax for Switch 2, especially when it's a day and date multi-platform. I really can't see them doing it, and especially in that scenario. That would not be a good move.
Okay, what games in particular have they done though? Because I've never heard of that. Like when a game ported to Switch being more expensive.
Oh man, so many. Mike.
Was it Skyrim?
Red Dead 2, right?
One of those.
Red Dead 1. Yeah, the first Red Dead. Well, what they mean by the Switch tax, Mike, is I think they mean like the game's $20 everywhere else, but it's here.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's been out for a while everywhere else, right? Is that what it is? Okay, so yeah.
But even like the re-releases are still like even cheaper than.
Yeah, and like some scenarios, a game will come out on like day and date, like currently right now. It'll come out on PlayStation for $29.99.
That'll be
$34.99 or $39 on Switch.
Now, the reason that was given for a lot of that just over the years has been that the cartridges are more expensive. And the thing is, the cartridges aren't going to get cheaper. They're going to use, newer technology, bigger cartridges. It's going to be kind of comparable, I would think, if not more expensive, especially with the way inflation kind of spiked over the last handful of years. So I think that you're going to look at this situation where one of two things are going to happen, or both. One, a lot of AAA third parties might just go digital only on the platform. You can only buy it on the eShop, $70, because they don't got to worry about the cost of the cartridges then. And if they think their game's good enough, and 60% of sales right now on Switch, at least in this current fiscal year, according to Nintendo, has been digital. If they think that's going to increase and be 70, 80, start approaching like PlayStation levels where it's like 80 to 90% of all sales are digital, they might go, it ain't worth us worrying about the physical, and we'll just sell for 70 and call it a day. Or if they do physical, they might do one of these things where some of them, especially the bigger ones, where they're going to need like a massive cartridge. And that's assuming that they even put it all on the cartridge, right? They might just make it download most of it. But if there is even still a physical, they might go, look, we're not going to upcharge you for the physical. We're going to make it a collector's version or a steel book or some other excuse where you can get it physically, but it's like $100. But we're going to give you extra stuff to make you feel like it's worth that $100 to have it physical, but otherwise buy it digital. And they kind of already sort of do that on the other platforms, except they still have the base version at 70 on a disc. But discs are so much cheaper, like, pennies. So whereas like if they're buying like a 64 gig cartridge, I mean, that could be like $20 for them to even have that. So they're not going to just eat into $20 in losses. They'll either just go straight digital, or they'll try to justify $100 price point by packing in stuff that costs them like nothing. extra few skins or some dumb stuff like that.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, they already have these $100 versions on the other platforms. So this isn't like a crazy thing to say. They just also still have the $70 physical.
Well, that didn't really work out too good for Ubisoft, right?
Well, I don't think anything is working out well.
Nothing.
Let's be clear. The
Mhm.
best news of the day was that they delayed Shadows, meaning that, I don't know if that's good news or bad news, because that means the game has problems already and you were going to launch it anyways.
Well, they apologized also for Outlaws being a broken mess,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
and they charged
And
$129 for that one of
They're
those
going
versions.
back on their PC stuff. Now they're releasing everything day one on Steam, which really great. As long as they get rid of the Ubisoft Connect stuff, that's the only. If you put it on
Well,
Steam, you got to get rid of that.
what I'm saying is that you can't be so arrogant that you think everyone's going to buy your $100 game at this point, especially in this economy. It's enough to spend $400 on a console. So I think a standard pricing should be like mandated at least by Nintendo to keep control over things.
Mhm.
And just like, $69.99 for AAA games, great. And then Nintendo can do their own thing with their own first party games. But like just expecting people to
By the way,
buy your $100 game just because you're Activision. This is the first Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform. $100. I can't see them necessarily doing that. But there might be outliers. Maybe a Grand Theft Auto 6 Game of the Year edition. Even though it runs at 30 frames per second, or something like that, they could probably get away with it.
They might even launch it at 100 to take advantage of all the early adopters. Like that's
People buy it.
out there right now because it's so popular. They probably would end up getting away with it.
I say case by case basis. I can't see any like standard $100 pricing.
Totally fair. Like when I know how expensive the cartridges are, Nintendo doesn't have to charge third parties that. They can eat the losses a little bit themselves. I know they don't want to, but like Nintendo, you are taking a 30% cut of their profits on the game. You could just eat the cartridge and maybe only make 15%. But yeah.
Eat the cartridge. That sounds interesting.
Literally eat it.
I know. I was saying the same thing.
Lick it or lick it.
I would say Nintendo is the one charging them for the cartridges. So it's kind of like, you don't have to charge them as much. You could find a happy medium. And of course that's going to make Nintendo want to push people to buy digital even more. But it's all headed that way anyway.
There you go. GS in the chat. eShop Music for Switch 2. They charge an extra $50 for the eShop Music. Watch out.
Oh, it's great.
Game Junction. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think that there's probably going to be some sort of because we kind of sort of got a standard pricing, but kind of not at the same time. I think it's going to be a game by game basis. Of course, you got the potential of the cartridge costing more, so there's that to take into equation. It's really hard to say. I think it's just going to be, kind of third parties making the choice of what they want to do. There might be a $40 launch for a significantly older game, which does happen, frequently now.
Yeah.
But a $50 launch, because Nintendo even does it occasionally. So it's hard. I don't think there's going to be a particular standard pricing, but definitely I think the $70 for first party Nintendo games, I think is going to be the standard.
Like I'm prepared for $70 on Mario, Zelda, possibly Metroid.
Metroid 4, yeah.
It's tough.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough to tell though. I mean, they just charged $40 for the Prime Remastered, which was excellent, and then they remaster or remake or probably remaster other games like Luigi's Mansion, and they charge full price for that. Like Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, that was more expensive. So
Donkey
I don't
Kong
know.
Country
Yeah.
Returns HD in January is 60.
60, yet Prime was 40. So that's why I actually think it will be a game by game basis. Brandon and I or Game Junction, we were kind of talking about this the other day, but it's like, yeah, we expect it for Mario and Zelda. And then I think after that, I don't know that I can say I expect a certain price because, I mean, can you imagine paying $70 for Kirby or for like a Yoshi game?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forgotten Land style game.
Yeah. I also
Forgotten Land was great. Like that's a bigger game, but
Like
I
a
remember like
side-scrolling
Yoshi's
one,
Story. coming out on 64 back in the day.
Mm-hmm. I also
And
think that the Metroid remaster, I think it was a season. I think it was like a when I kind of see the entire picture, and I'm like, okay, at some point between then and Luigi's Mansion, or then and the next remake or remaster, they decided, okay, this is our new price point moving forward for remasters and remakes, and that's why they brought up $59 for Luigi's Mansion and stuff. So I think I'm like, okay, because when did it come out? Like 2021.
which one?
Metroid Prime remaster, right? 2021 was it?
2023.
23?
Yeah,
Last
I
year?
was gonna say
Last-
Dave's gonna
last
know the
February.
release date.
Last year. Wow, seems like forever now.
yeah. Don't be Jeff Grubb. He thought it was sooner than that.
Yeah.
Well, you thought that was 3.5 years ago? Where have you been,
I
man?
did, man.
Holy moly.
Well, I even running Indie Mania. He aged like 5 years. Just
Oh
doing
yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like it wasn't long ago. It really wasn't. So Prime comes out for 40,
Mm-hmm.
and then you jump up $20. And I actually would have expected them to jump to like 50 to that $49.99 spot. Not really the $59.99 spot, which obviously they did, and we just saw that with Donkey Kong, and we saw how the internet reacted to that. People were not happy. And it is what it is, right?
It's really a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Metroid, Nintendo knows, is not like a gigantic seller. Let's be honest. It's decent. It's good enough to keep around, of course, but like it's not like a Mario or a Donkey Kong or Zelda. Even Donkey Kong doesn't even sell that much. But they know, since people haven't really played it much on the Switch, they skipped the Wii U stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They even skipped 3DS stuff because the 3DS didn't sell only a fraction of what DS sold. So like there's the Switch is just gigantic. So yeah, they're going to take advantage of all that stuff, and they're going to charge what they think they can get away with. And I think Metroid was a testing the waters kind of thing. They knew that they were only going to get a certain amount of sales with that. So I'm pretty sure like Metroid Prime 4, I think they'll charge $60 for the Switch version, and then they might charge a $10 charge for the upgraded version on Switch 2 for like $70 if you buy it just for Switch 2. That's my take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I could definitely see that. And Brandon and I were kind of talking about this as well. And it was like, all right, what are the top tier games that we know are going to be 70? And we both mentioned, like, we threw out Donkey Kong, and then we're like, well, it's tough to say because I mean we haven't got a new Donkey Kong since 2014, right? Tropical Freeze, like an actual new game. So can we consider Donkey Kong to be in that $70 tier when like you haven't even had a new game in 10 years? It's going to be 11 now next year. So it's like, I don't know if it's going to be 70 or not, but he's going to be in the Mario movies. So
Yeah,
They're doing it.
right. That's
They're charging 60 for an HD version of a
Oh,
3DS game. Like that's just
what's
like
$10 more.
Wii or whatever. Like that's just they're going. Here's the thing: Nintendo's trying to obviously build up the Donkey Kong IP. Like, and we have to remember in building up that Donkey Kong IP that like they, he's in the movies. It might eventually have his own spin-off movie. The theme parks, Donkey Kong, like they're treating it like it's a premium IP for them. So like anything that I would say any IP Nintendo has that thinks it's selling 5 million or more, they're going to charge 70. It just is what it is. Like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, 6 million plus. Okay, next 3D Kirby game is going to be 70. Animal Crossing is going to be 70. Splatoon is going to be 70.
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, all the Mario, Zelda, Pokemon might even jump up in price to 70. So like a lot of the games we play will jump up to 70. The question is really something like Metroid, which has never really done more than a little bit over 3 million. Are they going to risk that? I would say on the Switch 2 version in particular, having a $10 difference if it's cross-gen. Are they going to take that risk just because it's early in the gen? Test the waters with it because most of the sales will still be on Switch for that game.
Possible.
Yeah.
Because that might be a testing waters for them to be like, oh, are people really going to buy it for 70 or double dip at 70? Because that's the one that's kind of like, Metroid's not a guaranteed big seller for them. So but it's also we know it's one of the most expensive games they've made. They've had a reboot development on it, AAA reboot development on it. So like it's one of those that Nintendo sunk a lot of money into a game that they don't know if it's going to sell well. I hope it does. It's got to be excellent.
Yeah.
And then if it's excellent, I hope it sells well.
I got another question now I'm thinking about. I think we all kind of expect Metroid Prime 2 and 3 to hit at some point before 4, or at least that's the hopes, I think. Now, since Prime 1 was a full-on remaster, and the rumors are that Prime 2 and 3 would be more of like a HD kind of cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still expecting those to come out at 40?
Nope. $59. $59.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to charge for a more labor-intensive Metroid Prime 1 remaster, 40, and then like, and we just cleaned this up with some HD stuff, and we didn't do as much basically, and we're going to charge 60 now for Prime 2 and 60 for Prime 3.
Maybe they'll do 30 for each.
That would be cool. I'd love that.
Combo them for 60.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that's the move.
Yeah, if they're not putting in the same work as with Prime Remaster, you just combo it together.
They did the same thing with Crisis Remastered, Crisis 2 and 3 at least for the Switch. Those are both 30 each. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you do a physical combo, and then you offer the combo, and then offer individual on digital. I think that's what's the way to go with
Yeah,
that.
I think that'd be great. Like, I think
what I
that'd
hope
be
they do-
preferred.
Yeah, what I hope they do is do a trilogy package eventually.
Yeah.
Have all three available.
That
Like
would be
by the
nice.
time Prime 4 comes out, do like a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD edition for like $70. You get all three games. And
What
obviously Prime Remaster's already been out for like 2 years at that point, so you can discount it, So
What if
you
they're-
have them each be $30 or something.
What if they're going to do something weird? We've seen Nintendo used to do this kind of weird stuff a lot in the past. What if they're just going to give you 2 and 3 when you buy 4?
Mm.
Do weird stuff like that. Like back in the day, you get Wind
Uh-huh.
Waker and you can get that collector's disc that had the other stuff. That
Yeah.
were only for launch for pre-orders. It wasn't like super expensive or anything. I wonder if like the reason we haven't had. I mean, I would have thought 2 would have dropped by now at some point.
Yeah.
And it didn't. So I'm like, what if they're just like, nah, we're gonna actually try to increase 4 sales by saying, yeah, but you're getting 3 games.
Yeah, but this isn't the desperate Nintendo that they used to be.
No, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Iwata maybe.
But I see. I don't think it's desperate. I think it's just trying to increase sales of that particular.
I mean, hey, I would love that, but yeah, like I just don't see them giving away free games like that, especially not Metroid Prime 2 and 3. I can't see them being free.
But if you buy 4, you just get them.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I would love it though. Trust me, I would. I just don't see them doing that.
I mean, if they minimal effort it costs them like nothing. They're losing like no money. If they spent like $1 million to make those games in the HD, it's costing them like nothing. They're just doing it to increase sales of 4. They want people to
Sure.
buy 4.
I wish they would.
They want 4 to hit 10 million. I don't actually know if they wanted to hit 10 million, but I'm assuming they wanted to do more than 3. I just figure if you throw in some free games with it, people might be like, well, shit. If I don't like 4, I might like 2 and 3.
I mean, people still bought Metroid Dread without having anything given away for free, so that's to the highest selling Metroid game. So
Yeah,
I would love to. I love them to all be
probably
free, but I just can't see it
I
happening.
think there's a
personally.
chance that this game cost $100 million to make with all the money they had to scratch.
Oh.
Dread did not cost that.
Listen, coming from a non-Metroid fan, I'm a Metroid fan, but I'm not a Metroid fan. Like I'm not into. I don't know the lore, but I like the gameplay. Metroid Prime 4 to me calls my attention so crazy, like a lot. Maybe because of the time it's been in development, and also because of that first trailer. I'm like, no, I need to get into that game. I need to play it. And so, how many people more like me who were not into Metroid saw that trailer there and they're thinking Switch 2? They're also thinking Switch 2. I know it's going to come for Switch. It's enough for Switch, but maybe on Switch 2 it'll just be so much better, and they'll offer more with that. I don't see Furukawa giving anything away for free. That man is a money hungry guy.
Yeah.
But
You're spending $70. It's not free. Like, we gotta be clear. The games aren't free. You have to spend money to have them.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You're just increasing the perceived consumer value of that $70 that you're spending. But it might not have actually cost Nintendo that much money to throw them in. If the rumors are true that they put like hardly any effort into them. They're kind of just like HD, just like doing it on an emulator.
Yeah, I can see what Super Metroid, Super Metroid.
Well, I mean, this
Super Metroid.
Super Metal David said, I can see them doing what you guys suggested, a dual pack or even a triple pack for $70. That makes more sense because you're getting 3 games and then you're getting the big game that they're announcing. So yeah, I just don't see. I hope they do something for free. It'll be awesome.
But yeah, Mike's right though. That a lot of people got their attention, got struck with Metroid Prime 4's trailer because it looks so impressive. So I can see a lot of people just like trying out and buying Metroid Prime 4 with the Switch 2 just because how impressive it looks, and they want to see what the system can do, and they know that's going to be a graphical showpiece kind of game. So I could definitely see them doing that, and seeing the sales increase just because of that, the hype.
I got even
console and the
crazier
game.
idea. Remember when you used to get those magazines back in the day, and they came with the discs that had the game trailers on them?
Of course.
The trailer for the next big open world Zelda game is only available on the physical.
Like the gift card.
Oh Lord.
That would increase sales.
Yeah.
People would be like, "What?" They'd want just to collect it. The Zelda fans would be all over that.
Yeah, they did that with GameCube a few times with some Zelda stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
It's 2024. Somebody will buy it, dump it online. Nobody else will buy it.
No, do you know Zelda fans and the way we collect things? We're buying $300 Deku Tree Legos.
I mean, there is that.
Okay, we'll spend $70 just to have Nintendo's official release trailer on a cartridge. Yes. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, Zelda fans will eat that shit up.
That's like the most
Not to the tune of 30 million in sales, but you might get a couple extra million. Zelda fans are insane. And hey, if it gets them to try Metroid Prime, that's a win in my book.
Mhm.
Of course, they'll probably leave it sealed because there'll probably a little sticker on the box or something that says included Zelda trailer.
Sure, why not? Incentivize.
Nobody opens it, so we never actually see
We never
if,
actually know what
if the trailers
Look,
are
I
actually
bought
on
the
there.
game digitally, but I bought it physically just because it has the Zelda sticker. I have to leave it sealed.
No, I could see them doing like for Metro Prime 4. I could see them doing like almost like a collector's edition where they add $20 to it, and then they give you 2 and 3, and then or you could buy 4 separately. And then finally, after like 3 months, they release 2 and 3 separately for like $30, so you could get it for $20 with 4 right away. Or they stop selling that then after 3 months, and they sell 2 and 3 separately for 30 or whatever it is. And whoops, you missed out on it.
So, Eric, what do you think game pricing is going to be like on the system?
I think as long as there's still support for the original Switch, I don't think we're going to see much of a price change in games. It's once we kind of start phasing out the Switch, the original Switch, that I think that we'll kind of start seeing those
for third parties. That'll be like day one.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, unless Nintendo.
Call of Duty's not coming to Switch. There's a reason it's not on it this year. We're waiting for Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, third-party games and every mainline Nintendo game is going to be on Switch 2, not coming to
Like
Switch.
indie, I can see a lot of indie titles still going both for a while because there's a lot of sales to be had still.
Right.
Yep.
But I'm thinking it's kind of going to be a holding pattern until they kind of start phasing out the original Switch. And once that happens, then you're going to start seeing a price hike. I can't tell you how much it's going to be, but it's, I could see it happening once the Switch is phased out.
All right. Well, Eric, since you were talking, what's our next topic, buddy?
You know what? I'm going to actually give it to you.
What the?
Hold on. Because I think I may actually have a topic at the end. So.
You mean he came up with a topic?
I might have.
Where in the rules does it say you can flip topics?
I'm making it up. I'm crispy now.
You're lucky you've been on this show since episode 1. You're lucky. All right, fine. Gosh, I wasn't ready for this now. I had everything not ready to go. Now I have to go
but now
introduce it.
Now you don't have to think of a topic.
No, but fine. Someone did super chat in a topic, by the way.
Oh, did they?
But it's okay.
Oh.
It's okay because the topic's actually covered in this topic anyway.
Oh, okay.
So they just didn't know that yet.
No, fair enough.
All right. So our next topic is Switch 2 madness continues. We kind of left it vague because, what are we talking about? Well, there's a lot of things that have been going on. Obviously, last week we had those leaks. We talked about it on the show last week. And yes, those the ones with the PCB and the actual Joy-Cons, as far as anyone can tell, professionals have looked at it. They're real. There's injection molding involved with the actual shells and the plastic and everything. You aren't faking injection molding. That could be like $50,000 for those molds. You're not. No one's spending that kind of money to do a fake. Plus the PCB and all the traces that are at, like people zoom, like the traces are really there. It's not a fake PCB. So like that's not happening without spending good coin. So in the end, yeah, that stuff's real and it's from October of 2023. Okay, cool. It's a prototype. Whether or not all the features on it are there or not, like is that second USB-C port in the final version? Nobody knows because it was a prototype from 2023.
Yeah.
But you know, some of the base ideas, like if the reason this exists is because it was for third-party manufacturers to make accessories, maybe that means that USB-C port is real because maybe they can make accessories for that, or the press fit of the controllers. That could be a mechanism they needed to have so they can make third-party controllers, licensed ones, yada yada yada. So okay, yeah, that stuff's probably legit. But coming off of that, there was other stuff that happened after the show, and one of them, let's go with my notes a little bit in the other direction here. One of them was this Chinese YouTuber who I really apologize for not learning how to pronounce their username, but she came out and apparently had the 3D CAD models for longer than when they appeared online, and had a 3D model printed of it. And that's cool, and it gives us a good size comparison. I'm actually gonna, in a little bit here, bring up better size comparisons. I'll show some images because her screen wasn't exactly right. She said it in the video. Her screen wasn't correct because she didn't have a big enough film to represent like the actual 8-inch screen. So I'm going to bring up some images by MJ or over on Family Boards. I'll link it in the chat as well if you want to go check it out. He's been making a bunch of mock-ups based on her models and looking really nice. So I'll bring up some of those comparisons in a bit. But the reason I bring that up is not just so we could have an actual look at what it looks like compared to a Switch OLED, just based on what we've seen, you know, and what the dimensions are. Also, she brought up this thing that she apparently knows a feature about the system. She doesn't really know what it's for. She speculated what it's for, but she apparently knows something. And I don't know how. Don't know if she's got a boyfriend, works in a factory. I have no clue. But she apparently knows that there is going to be a camera module that you can plug in. She doesn't know what it's for. She speculates it might be for motion controls, for improved motion tracking, is what she suspects when it's docked, to get improved motion tracking. But we talked about that, but you know, it's kind of like, okay, we don't really, without directly talking to her, was that speculation or did she talked like matter of fact, like, but we don't really know because Chinese doesn't always translate perfectly to English. So we're relying on subtitles and all that stuff. So, right, like, what did that really mean? Well, something interesting happened when Nintendo had a filing go public with the FCC that might support a little bit of this notion. And this FCC filing, which, gosh, Thunderstash has more information probably on it than I do. Did that AI ever get back to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to maybe talk about it a bit because this FCC filing is wild. It involves wireless signals and having to be plugged in through USB-C, no battery, using this millimeter wave stuff, which has been used in some motion tracking technology. So Thunderstash, well, he actually has there's like a 50-page document. This is insane.
Oh, yeah. So I hit Nate up earlier today because I was looking at the notes, right, for the show, and I saw the FCC filing, and I saw the link that you had provided. Was that to, where was it to?
That was the Gaming Leaks and subreddit. Remember something?
Yeah. So I saw the subreddit. I was like, okay. Clicked on that, and I looked at the picture that you had sent of the module, and I just looked at the FCC ID, went to the FCC's website, and did my own like manual search, of course. And when I searched it on Google Chrome, which that's the browser I use, it said that I don't have access to view these files, right? Because, you know, Nintendo put them up there. Like, okay, you know, obviously I clicked all of them. There's 10 of them. Figured I'd give it a shot. Then I went to Edge, which I never use. So I went to Microsoft Edge and then went into an incognito mode and just figured I'd just try. You know, we'll see what happens. And I was able to open all the documents and save them, oddly enough. So I have all the PDFs that were sent to the FCC. And so I was reading through them, and like one of the things that caught my eye, and if you want, I can pull up this picture.
Sure.
Let me pull it out here real quick because I got a folder with all this stuff saved. Because I was actually surprised I could access it, considering I like a couple minutes ago I couldn't on Chrome. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just save all this stuff just in case I do want to access it again and I'm not able to. So I have a folder, and yeah, here it is. So let me make this document bigger and then share screen, and we'll go window. Yeah, this one right here. Okay. Yeah, it's about to come up here.
Yep.
So I sent this over to Nate. I just found this interesting, right? And I'm going to zoom in so you guys can actually see this and kind of drag this over. So I manually searched right here. You guys can see the BKECLO001. And it came up with all the exhibits, right? I'll zoom out a little bit. Now, when I clicked on the link in gaming leaks and rumors Reddit, there was only 10 matches found. And here I was able to find 24 by doing a like wider cast search. And what really caught my eye was the ones I highlighted, of course. And the reason why is because on the gaming leaks and Reddit rumor thing, the date available for everything that was listed was 9/20/2024, which you guys can see right here. And when I did like the wider cast search, it came up with additional things, which is one of them being, I'll start from the top, external photos, short-term confidential external photo. And then right here where it says yes, stating that, yeah, it is short-term confidential. And the date it's going to be available is March 20th, 2025.
Thursday.
Yeah, and all of these right here that I highlighted. So internal photos again, test setup photos, and then user manuals. And even like when I sent this over to Nate, he said, well, you know, user manual, that means like that's a big deal. And I agree, that's a big deal. Like this might be something that's like ready to go. So all this stuff is confidential, right? Until March 20th. But none of these ones that I highlighted, none of these exhibits were on the gaming leaks and Reddit rumor. It was only when I manually searched it through Chrome in incognito mode that this stuff came up. And the date to me was just like, it hit me, right? I'm like, March 20th? God, like that sounds like right around the time when we could get Switch too, if it comes out in March.
And Thursday too.
Yeah, and why would you make it obviously available that day? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, if the only reason you would do that is if, well, the information is now going to be out there, right? And so I have the antenna spec, the confidentiality request, the FCC test report, the SAR test report, the short-term confidentiality report. I have all of these documents. Some of them are like 50 or 60 pages. Wow. And obviously there's a lot to read. And so I asked Chat GPT if they could review it for me earlier today. And, you know, I had to kind of mess around with it. So I sent them the PDF and I said, hi, could you analyze a PDF document for me and tell me what type of device is being described? And, you know, their first answer was that the device could be one involving wireless communication, like mobile phones, Wi-Fi routers, or Bluetooth-enabled devices. It didn't give me really like anything that I didn't know. So I kept asking it more questions. And I said, could you read every page of the PDF and then provide me with a determination and a likelihood of what the device is in percentage terms? And it took like an hour. And nothing I've ever sent to Chat GPT takes that long. But yeah, it took like an hour to review. And finally they came back and they said, thank you for your patience. I've completed a detailed review of the document, and based on the content, this FCC test report is most likely describing a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi enabled device, such as a smartphone, tablet, or a similar consumer electronic product. Here's the breakdown of how I arrived at this conclusion. And it says that the FCC reports often involve devices that emit radio frequencies, and there were numerous references to tests typically conducted on devices that transmit wireless signals, example, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And then they said electromagnetic interface, EMI, and radiation exposure test. The test mentioned align with those performed on mobile or communication devices. Given the structure of the report, I estimate with 90% certainty that the device is a wireless communication device that is Bluetooth/Wi-Fi enabled. Now, that was only one document that I had them research, right? Because again, it took a while, and I'm on the Chat GPT free plan, so I can't just send it like endless amounts of things. But it like resets every few hours. So of course I want to send it the other PDFs because I was just one of them and I have a handful. And so I'm interested to see if AI can like pick up anything from this that we can't. And like some of the stuff I'm familiar with, right? But some of this stuff I think if we were able to get it to say an engineer, they'd be able to read it and be like, yeah, I have a pretty good idea of what this is. I don't like, I have one of my old employees that works in mortgage actually has, I think, an electrical engineer degree. And he is a gamer. I could probably send it to him. I was thinking about this earlier. But, to ask somebody to research 100, 150 pages, probably all combined.
I have a theory.
Yeah, let's hear it. Is it the theory you gave in your video today?
No, I don't think.
Because that was an interesting one.
Yeah. But thing is that I also got contacted by one of my followers, and they do have a degree, and they could explain to me what these waves mean and what could it be used for. And it could be like, for example, it makes perfect sense when ChatGPT told you about mobile devices, because one of the features of mobile devices is you can stream onto other devices, right? And so, like for example, my phone, you can AirPlay onto your TV, right? Or you can AirPlay onto something else, or you can AirPlay onto a speakerphone or whatever. And so these waves are used for transmitting information, even images to other devices far away wirelessly. Now, this device apparently is also powered by a USB-C, right? And so, if we know what device is powered by USB-C on Nintendo right now is a dock. So maybe this dock that is coming, you can actually stream to. You can actually AirPlay to whatever you're playing on your Nintendo Switch. You can stream it onto the dock, giving you a dual screen functionality. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, I do know what you mean, and I think that's something that has kind of been thrown around there, right? Like the idea of that. And when this device was mentioned in my head, I'm like, okay, that's one of the possibilities, right? Because I've definitely not written off that idea. I don't think that's outlandish.
yeah, there's also a possibility that the dock itself also has a screen in front of it.
And I have heard that, and I remember talking with Paul Gale about that, and I thought that was a really actually cool idea for a lot of reasons that, if we went into, it would take up another 20 minutes, so I won't. But it was a very interesting idea, and I if that happened, I'd be happy if it happened the way like Paul had explained it on one of the previous podcasts. But like now that we're talking about it, like what else could it be is the question, right? Because there's a lot of ideas thrown out there. I mean, even chat's throwing out a lot of ideas. Mike, you threw out an idea in your video this morning. I was running errands and I had my AirPods in listening to your video, and I actually had to go to Walmart, and I, of course, have to check the video game section, and just to make sure that they didn't accidentally put out Zelda. They had the price tag out though, so that's a good sign. But
Yeah.
I always got to check. But I know you mentioned something about the idea of a screen, like another screen, and I keep hearing that idea thrown out there. I don't know if it's just because people would like to see it, or the nostalgic for like the idea of a dual screen.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, what I mentioned was that the USB, if the USB-C port on top, because Nate has a good point on that, it might appear on it or it might not. It could have been a debugger for developers, so that they can dock it and kind of program the game. So if it does appear, then I believe that USB-C could be used for a multitude of reasons. It's not just made for one thing. Maybe Nintendo is planning on doing different accessories later on. Maybe one of them is a screen. It's very thin, kind of dock on top, and then you can actually use a dual screen functionality. The other one could be a mic, the other one could be a camera, and so that's one of the reasons. That's what I basically brought in the video, that it could have multiple reasons why that USB-C port is there, and maybe that's what Nintendo is selling us on. You know what I mean? That could be the gimmick. That USB-C could be connected to that gimmick that Nintendo has for Switch 2.
I mean, do we think it's a camera
Yeah, it could be.
that tracks like motion controls?
Yeah, I think that's what it is most likely, just from what it looks like to me, because it talks about having an wave sensor on it, 24, was it gigahertz or something like that?
Yep.
and those are used to sense your motion, sense humans like body heat. So, I could definitely see it being some kind of a sensor that it sees you as a camera, and you can plug it into your Switch 2 or whatever, however that works, and you can use it as like a video chat, maybe like something optional, or something in game they have that you can make it so you can do something interactive with the game.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about having any second screens here. I mean, you guys are.
That's just theory. That's just a theory.
You're just
okay. Theory. I just keep seeing it everywhere. I feel like on Twitter and on just people's YouTube videos. I'm like, where is this coming from?
People really want a second screen for some reason, probably for Wii U backwards compatibility, maybe, or some
there is
functionality.
There's a patent too.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
But I kept thinking, like, because I think this particular thing probably is just a USB-C camera accessory.
Yep.
And I kept thinking, well, why would the camera accessory need Wi-Fi? And I said, well, if you're someone who puts your dock into a cabinet, it's not going to make sense to have it stick out the top of your dock, right? And maybe you don't want to run a long cable down to your Switch to plug it in. So you're going to power it from wherever, maybe power it off your TV, right? Like your TVs have USB ports on them usually. So maybe you want to position it at the top of your TV, or you're going to power it with something else, maybe directly plugged into a wall, right? So then you could just have it be wirelessly over your local network, communicate with your Switch. Because I know that I have a security camera system in my house, and it's all over Wi-Fi to my phone.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty close to a live feed. So I could see that being like, oh, it has, and why the 2.4 gigahertz band? Why doesn't it go 5? It's just for a stronger connection, basically, is the reason to use the 2.4, because it can go longer distances if your router's not in the same room and all that. So I'm like, yeah, actually. And that would be explained in the user manual, that you can use this directly plugged in, which might give it the best connection, or you could use it over your local network. Just plug it into the wall, hit this button to connect to your Wi-Fi, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Or maybe you got to first plug it into your Switch to set up the Wi-Fi network, and then you can do it because it'll have a memory or something. Again, we don't know a lot about it. They showed a picture of the back of it, and because we don't have dimensions, I don't know how big it is, but it basically was like this. And it just had like a place where a label would go, and it's like, okay, with something etched into it, the code of the device or whatever. So I just sat there. I'm like, so they're not going to show the front of it. And then when Steve found the fact that there's these additional images that are releasing later, and these images appear to be the actual device. And actually, if you look at that document Steve showed again, it also shows that there are images they're not going to show publicly ever. They're permanently not going to show them. And that's because if you read the little descriptions on it, it says things like how the thing actually works,
Mm.
and that's probably all patented and stuff. So they don't want
schematics.
Yeah, they don't want people, being able to copy all that stuff. So that's supposed to stay private. But I do find it to be really interesting. I think the most fascinating thing is that all the images of it plus user manual is public on 320. Does that mean that's when Switch 2 is coming out? Or will this thing have already been announced by then, at least bare minimum? Now, we do know it's supposed to be announced by the end of March, period. So then I'm like, well, it's got to be ahead of March 20th. It's got to be before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, by the way, this assumes that this is even for the Switch. I just don't know what else it would be for.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have its own battery. So it's not a standalone device. It's quite literally not standalone. So it's like, well, if it's not standalone, you can't plug it into your current Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this be like, no, it's meant to be plugged into your phone, and it's just another Pokemon sleep device.
Well, Mike, can you imagine?
I can see it.
Imagine.
Or what was the
What we're hyping up right now.
one that would get your pulse? You remember that? Yeah, obviously it never.
Oh yeah.
Vitality sensor coming
The
back.
vitality sensor, yeah.
Vitality sensor coming back.
Yeah.
But no, it's probably for Switch 2, because it after we had that leak with the USB-C port on top, I'm like, oh shit. And then the lady's talking about a camera that she doesn't know what it's for. She just guessed. And then you're like, oh. And then you look at the back of it. The back of it looks like the back of a webcam module, if I'm being completely honest, the way the back looks. I'm like,
I agree.
very much like a camera sensor or something. But yeah, that also brings up the point, though, like, of the broader topic. Like, okay, so this one device that's probably what this, some sort of camera does, some sort of sensor does something. The exact functionality, who knows? It would be cool if it had improved motion controls, especially if they plan to do more Wii games coming over. But what I do think would be interesting is the other accessories. Like, what other accessories could they use? Let's assume that USB-C port's in.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah. Basic feature number one: when you're in tabletop mode, you can finally charge your Switch. Hey, all right, we got that. But besides charging,
storage. Yeah, I'm looking at USB-C flash drives versus the traditional one, and they are 20 times faster.
They're
at
way
30 frames per second. Yeah. So imagine if you can just plug in your storage there, and the games will actually read.
a dedicated storage.
Yeah, will read better than you would on your SD card. So, but better gameplay.
Yeah,
faster.
because like obviously the dock will have, the dock even have a USB-C port, but it wouldn't matter because you're sharing video signal and everything else through it. But this would be like a dedicated, just its own lanes, man. Yeah, that would be an interesting use. Damn, I like that. I like that for dot mode a lot. Like if there's just some games you're only ever going to play in dot mode, you just leave them on a fast
Well,
local hard drive.
somebody's going to create some sort of carrying thing for an external hard drive to put on the back of your Switch.
Well, I understand that for sure. Man, that would be kind of interesting. Obviously, like a microphone one, like that's kind of a given that there'll be some sort of Wii Speak sort of microphone add-on. What else?
I was this is funny. I'm like a little fan that points at you so you can be cool while you play.
I swear,
Someone will make it.
That would be really cool.
Here, guys, this is why it really exists. We're ignoring the obvious reason, right? We are not going to have a backlit screen. They're going back.
The worm
We need the worm light.
Yep.
Worm light. Yeah.
I hope somebody does
They're
it.
cutting costs because they're beefing it up.
Yeah.
They're putting as much in as they can. They decided we can't go with backlit screens anymore, guys. It's too expensive. That would be.
Did you guys have that magnifying
Oh, yeah.
glass light or whatever the game was?
Oh yeah, for the Game Boy.
Yeah, that was classic.
Yeah.
I've still got the whole one that you put your actual
green
game
and
on
warped
the
it.
side.
It doesn't matter.
Dude, the Game Boy was like a transformer. You could at the end, it has so many things to add to it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it did, man. The camera, the printer,
Mhm.
Classic.
Yeah.
classic. Yeah, I don't know what else it could be. Do you guys think any of this stuff will be built into the Switch though? I mean, like, think about it. The 3DS had a camera built
Yeah.
in, right?
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff has had microphones built in. So I'm like, okay, I could see all of these. Like, all of these are super like plausible. But what if these are already built into the Switch? Then I'm like, okay, well then what could this be used for if they're already built into it? Like if the things we're suggesting,
Mm-hmm.
like a microphone and a camera is already built in, then really what could it be? I mean, obviously the storage idea. That's definitely one. And I'm interested in that.
Maybe it's just for accessory makers to make more
Right.
accessories and come up with
Could be.
other things.
Yeah, I don't think they would do. It doesn't seem like a camera would need to be built in. I think that's an extra cost out the gate.
Camera, I'll say this: camera only needs to be built in if they're planning to do more AR stuff.
Mhm.
It'd be on the back side of the console then.
Yeah.
AR.
And also, nobody seemed to complain much about it for Switch 1, right? And there's no camera there.
Also, like we got to remember that we're talking about what I feel is going to be accessories. Like I don't think this module is going to be in the box with Switch 2. So I feel like we're looking at like, hey, this is going to be a pretty iterative system, but hey, we did create this extra port where we're going to make some official attachments, as it were, if you want them.
No, don't say
But
that.
it's not. But because I don't think it's called Switch Attached because it's not in the box. You can't call it something that doesn't come with the system. But it would enable Nintendo. Maybe they're even just going. Here's the thing: this is Nintendo. They gave us cardboard VR, so they gave us home circuit Mario. Make your own. So like Nintendo could just be thinking, we just want this port for random future ideas we have.
Yeah, I think it's
Could
plausible.
very well be, because they're gonna have some ideas. I don't know when the last time was that they didn't
Maybe
have
they
an
had
idea mid-gen.
already, and they were just like, "Oh, we don't have the port for it."
Yeah,
Or
we'll have to wait and see.
As simple as it was just a quality of life thing. Like, hey, people in tabletop mode can't charge their Switch without a stand, which defeats the purpose of the kickstand.
Yeah, or it could be old Game Boy trick where you connect your devices together. You can along.
Oh, gee, it's a link cable port.
Link cable, yeah.
Link cable.
I have one that can kind of go off of that a little bit. It can be used to link a secondary Switch, whether it's your original Switch or another Switch, to use as a second monitor.
So you would link to the Zelda.
You could almost
Link
hook up your
from
old
Zelda.
yeah. And then so you can use your original Switch as a secondary screen, or if you have for some odd reason you have two different Switch 2s, you can hook those together and use it as a second screen or something like that. The other funny one that I thought of is they're going to start porting over Xbox Connect games. So they're going to have their own version of the Xbox Connect.
That would. I don't think Nintendo wants to have anything to do with that disaster.
Oh, I know. That's why I said it was just a fun joke idea.
Wii Music Part 2,
Right.
Nintendo Switch
Oh,
2
boy.
edition. Waggle to
Excited.
your heart's content.
That E3 for
Yeah,
Wii
we're
music.
missing
Oh
the
man,
obvious. What are we doing? We're missing, guys. That top USB-C is a full Thunderbolt port. They're allowing external GPUs.
Yeah.
There it is.
Cool.
That's the hot take.
Plug in an RTX 4090 to the Switch 2.
Or if it doesn't support that, it's supporting a few. Remember, there is a patent for this a long time ago about a companion device. That's what it's for. It's for a companion GPU they will sell to you later for $500.
You're right.
That gives you boosted performance and dot.
AI for AI.
next level expansion pack.
Exactly. Exactly.
Switch 2 Pro 8K.
Exactly. That's the plan.
Yeah.
They plan to have a pro version, but if you don't want to buy the actual pro system, we'll sell you just the expansion bay.
A little fancy.
Do you guys know how bad that would be actually when you think about it? Because the Switch 2, you wouldn't be able to upgrade the CPU. So it wouldn't matter.
Well, it's a PlayStation 5 Pro all over again. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
you plug in an RTX 4090, you'll be CPU limited. The games will still run really bad. You'll look really good for a little bit, but
you just need developers to put everything into the GPU. Just run it all on there. Yeah, it would be interesting. I only bring it up because that supplemental computing device was actually a patent at one point where you could add power like an external GPU.
It was an awesome idea, but yeah, it was
It's a great idea, and you can get
really ambitious.
if they did that with this, it's not going to be like an RTX 4090 level thing. It would just be something that's like it's better than the current one, but it's not going to be like a demonstrable generational uplift sort of thing.
Now you're playing with power, boys.
Who knows? Maybe those A78C rumored ARM CPU cores are just ballers. They're out there.
What if it's to plug in a VR headset?
Yeah,
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. Yeah, right now I'm doing the smart thing and asking ChatGPT to tell me what it is. What's
I mean,
about.
oh, good. I'm glad you're asking
Like
me. Think
Nintendo.
about it. They dabbled with it with Switch One, obviously.
Yeah.
They did.
They dabble with the NES with the Virtual Boy. These are the top 10 ChatGPT selections for that port. An external storage device is the first one. VR headset is the second one. Camera attachment, a portable dock. What? An external GPU. Charging stand. Why? Keyboard and mouse adapter. Audio interface.
Mario Paint.
Yeah. Streaming device. What? No. Controller adapter. Also, I don't know. Maybe like a wire, like a
wireless dongle.
Yeah. So
but you can do that already.
Yeah, they're going to sell so many accessories for this thing. It's going to be ridiculous.
I think that gosh, it was funny when the mouse and keyboard was brought up. I blew people's mind the other day when I said, you can use a mouse and keyboard with Switch right now, right? Like it actually accepts it. Plug it into your dock and dock your system. I'm telling you, it works. And then someone did it while I was streaming. And they're like, "Oh my god, there's games that use it. Go find your FPS games and enjoy shooting those scrubs at 30 FPS, baby." I mean, you will. You can do click headshots. It works. Anyways, by the way, for those that don't know, mouse and keyboard works with all the consoles. It's never not worked. It's just a lot of games don't support it. There's only a select amount that actually support it, but it does work. You can navigate your Switch with it and everything.
Did you guys discuss last week about how it's going to be HDMI 2.1 with so it could have VRR compatibility?
Refresher, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think even the screen on it's probably going to have VRR, and maybe even HDR10, even because you can get that in LCD panels easy. It's not that expensive. I mean, the panel needs to be at least as good as the portal screen.
Mini LED.
That would be
it'll be just an LCD.
It'll be an LCD. Yeah, I want mini LED. Mini LED would be sick, but
it might be an IPS LCD, which would be better than what the current Switch is, because those aren't very expensive. We'll have to wait and see, but
yeah,
IPS would be like Steam Deck quality, which is not bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not OLED, but it's not bad.
I mean, they'll save OLED for the upgrade later. I think they saw that worked really well for them to do a $50 upgrade to an OLED. Like, sure. All right.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I hope they make it a full version to charge $100 more. But
Twitch means I'm never going to have an OLED version of anything.
Eric, you just got to win one off me, man. We got to have a competition where I buy you one.
Yeah.
It can be a business expense.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because you're going to hold it up just like you held up your current Switch on a podcast. It's business expense.
I love how these guys in the chat have like the best PCs like ever from what they're saying. That's great. I love it.
Do they? I don't know. I got a pretty good one over here. I don't have a 4090, but I got a 4080 Super. Over here.
Yeah.
Good.
It's just fun stuff.
Fun stuff. Okay. Well, does anyone else have anything to add to this, or we just move on? I think